we have Matthias, who is the open source architect at ZEDEDA. What made open collaboration operationally necessary, not just philosophically attractive?
If you look at how software updates looked like 10 years ago, maybe, you grabbed a USB stick and walked over a factory floor. Today, that really changed with modern software-defined systems that are container-based and centrally managed. So that's no longer needed and rather a thing of the past. But the truth is, even with those more capable systems, you end up with a lot of them, and each coming maybe from a different vendor. You got an edge platform, you got maybe a vision system that is edge enabled, a packaging machine that is customizable, a fleet of VPLCs, and you got 4 islands now, and each system has its own way to manage software. So as the factory operator, you essentially become the manager of management systems. And there is actually a story that kind of is similar to what we have in the edge computing space. You look at the past, there were a lot of field buses, still are, and each field bus has its individual strength, but you rarely see a factory that has a single field bus. And that's why OPC UA was created. But OPC UA didn't replace the field buses, it rather gave a common layer above them. And Margo is kind of the same for edge management. So we end up with multiple systems, with multiple vendors, and each for good reason. And no single vendor can take that pain away of managing the multiple vendor complexity. And that's why we need to have an open standard that is built by the vendors together. And that's why open collaboration becomes operational necessary.
Where do organizations still struggle most when adopting an open ecosystem model?
Yeah, I think that's an uncomfortable topic for many companies because a lot of us in that space, we have invested in our edge capabilities, in our stack, and there's real engineering effort behind it, right? And also real pride. So when you're contributing to an open ecosystem, it feels like you're giving something away. And I think some companies, they got stuck on that question of, what do we give up? And I think they are really measuring the wrong thing. Because if you look at it from a customer side, remember, even the best system is an island. So yeah, you got the best system, but just one more island. So the question is, where does your actual value come from? I think that's a better question to answer. At ZEDEDA, we answered that early when we open sourced EVOS under Linux Foundation Edge. Nobody is logged in. And what we sell is everything above that layer. So we manage workloads at scale. We manage AI models at scale. And we distribute them to tens of thousands of devices in a secure way. That's the capability we sell on top. So the interface is open, but the value is in what you operate above that interface layer. So contributing to Margo is basically not giving something away, but we are actually standardizing more ground to operate on.
Do you think in the next few years, industrial infrastructure may get standardized?
I mean, what we see today is with Margo and the first GA release that's upcoming, we clearly see that the workload fleet management is getting commoditized first. So the ability to manage apps from different vendors on different devices. And what's coming up next is probably the topic of device management. So being able to onboard devices and to manage operating systems and container platforms running on those devices in a standard way. And what actually both need, both workload fleet management and device fleet management, is a common identity and trust plane. because once devices from different vendors and workloads from different vendors start to talk to each other, they need to answer the question of who is that device and who is that workload, and is that workload trustworthy. And that's why I'm currently working on a standard in the technical working group of Margo on enabling that kind of identity and trust plane. So my bet is device management and identity and trust are the next topics to be commoditized and standardized next.